Good morning. My name is Kolontaev. I'm a vice president of the Russian non-state pension fund under the LUKOIL company. You're one of the most qualified persons in Russia to talk about finances and investments in the Russian market. It is almost common practice in the world to consider Russia as a non-attractive place for foreign investments, while we can see in the country lots of foreign companies who have been operating here for years and years, increasing their presence in the country. What could you tell us about the investment opportunities in Russia? I will try to express my opinion. In my opinion, Russia is, for many reasons, is a very undervalued market for investments. To my view, it happens mainly for political reasons that provide media with a good reason to make Russian image as a market lacking an opportunity for investors. Well, talking about the mentioned above political situation, it will not hesitate to declare that compared to some Asian, African, and even Far East countries, Russia is much safer due to the stability of the political situation. In the region in question, the political instability significantly diminishes any investment opportunities that could arise there. Second, Russia is the richest country in the world in terms of our mineral resources. Looking at the BRIC countries, one has no doubt that in Russia any investor can find much more educated and skilled human resources than in any other countries. What Russia is really interested in now is in bringing to the country new technologies to update and boost our economy development. These technologies could be capitalized with a high rate of return. Consequently, any investor that would invest money here can expect really high return on her or his capital. Back in 1998, Russia experienced the first wave of extended privatization. Those foreign companies that took advantage of it at that time found themselves in a very beneficial position and continued to benefit from their participation in privatization process now. Now, as you know, Russia is preparing for the second wave of the same extended privatization, and the whole economy. Subsequently, those foreign companies that will catch this wave will obtain significant competitive advantage compared to those ones that will step to Russian market later. And nobody doubts that the foreign company will come to our country. If one will take a close look at the Russian history, he will find, starting from Peter the Great, time foreign investors have been entering Russia, and many of them have gained their astronomical fortunes, namely in our country. Many of them even stayed in Russia, were granted Russian citizenship. It happened then and is going on now. Russia, as in the old times, needs now to revolutionize technologically its economy. We do need it. Our government acknowledges this fact, and therefore I think those companies that will invest in Russia will obtain significant preferences and advantages. Though I would like to differentiate that companies that are looking for just investing for speculation for 1-2 years to gain big profits, of course, will have chance to, but hardly they will be supported by our government. While the companies that intended to come to Russia to develop their business and stay here for a long time will face solid support and welcome from our government and get 100% chances to become successful. Tell us, please, a few words about the situation in the financial market of Russia. What could you say about activities of the investment companies, pension funds, and some hedge funds here? Well, Russia is currently lacking long-term investments. First of all, our stock market significantly, up to 40%, as some experts say, is undervalued. Second, we constantly witness the capital outflow from the country. Of course, our government attempts to solve this problem, though it is happening rather slowly. So the issue of some, for example, infrastructure bonds that would provide pension funds with the opportunity to invest in it, as the return on them would be guaranteed by the government. It would allow us to invest in these funds practically risk-free and to guarantee our clients the certain return. We have been asking our government about this for quite a while. Obviously, it would be mutually beneficial process, as our investors would be satisfied with their returns and the government would obtain the access to the long-term investments which they could invest in the Russian economy. By now, the infrastructure of the whole country has been significantly worn out. We really need to invest in construction of airports, highways and roads, railways, which will boost our GDP growth. Our government looks like understands it. While it proceeds towards the solution of the mentioned above problems rather slowly. What could you say about particular funds of funds in Russia? Well, I'm not into this business. I'm a person who is aimed at attracting money to our pension fund, and here I could draw a rather optimistic picture. In spite of a practically financial illiteracy of our population, yes, the level of financial literacy is extremely low. Indeed, our people are very open-minded. They're thinking hard about the future and are really ready to invest in it. There is one very important condition. They should get a proper and transparent explanation of where and how they could invest and benefit from their investments. And so, as it becomes clear, our people, I would say, are more open to the investing than people from some other countries. And it happens in spite of the fact that our people have been cheated not once, but they have not lost their faith in the country and our government. Our people are longing to move forward only. Yes, and the recent election, whatever the opposition declares, have confirmed this. The country again has elected Mr. Putin as a president, and it serves as some guarantee that any investor from outside will not lose any money here or will not obtain those advantages that would be guaranteed by our government, that they will not experience any negative economic or political changes while entering the Russian market. Yes, and what is more important that I would like to point out here, our people definitely are opposing any return to the past, whatever it is, either distant or rather close. The direction our country has been moving for the past 10 years has been suited for everybody on average. What is our people are not happy with is inefficiency of the management on all levels. Our managers of enterprises, some top managers, some very high-level positioned persons. Russia badly needs an effective management of the economy, money, everything. It is in fact the deep essence of some protest disagreements. Question of financial literacy raised by you above is very essential question for the country. What could you say about the level of financial literacy of those managers of businesses, enterprises you're working with? People operating in Russia have different levels of education. There are those educated in the West, or those who managed to get a very good financial education in Russia. The question here is their understanding of their strategic thinking. They choose subsequently either long or short-term investments. They choose also the level of return they expect to get from the investments. Though I would point out that in Russia still one can find very high level of return on quite short-term investments, so it depends. Western hedge funds usually are chosen by their investors due to the high level of return. They claim to bring them like 11–20%. Is it possible at all to meet anything like this in Russia? It depends on the professional level of managers of hedge funds who will come here. their risk management abilities to identify and calculate risks in the Russian economy. And if they manage it properly, they can expect much higher returns than those you mentioned. Our economy is developing. It is very big and differentiated as an economy. Their future profits, of course, will depend on the industry, region, etc. They would invest their funds. I can only stress out that there are lots of opportunities here for getting much higher returns than you just mentioned, provided that those who will come here will understand that our economy is an emerging one, meaning that they should be entrepreneurial here. Their expectations would not only be addressed but even exceeded, and it will happen legally without any problems. What could you say about infamous bribes, corruption in Russia, откаты, so-called payback to the official of the prearranged amount of obtained funds? I can't say that they exist as a problem per se. They do exist for those who is looking for getting some competitive advantage, to get more profit and so on. Of course it takes place as it happens all over the world, more or less, and nobody will come to you to demand some money should you get a contract legally signed and approved, though if you want to get some additional illegal profits, you will definitely find such and pay their price. Probably it looks like unofficial lobbyism, and should we legalize the institute of lobby, we could avoid any extensive problems with bribes. Our last question. You are very frequently visiting different countries. Do you have any cooperation with Western companies? I know you've been in the United States recently. What is your impression on potential opportunities of cooperation? Yes, indeed, but I would like to mention, to point out once more that Russia looks for any cooperation in technologies transfer. Should it be in the industry, should it be in the management, medicine, or in financial sphere specifically, what we see is this area is a very updated and interesting managerial decisions of foreign financial companies of any time. Of any type. What are we lacking so far? We need all this to boost our economy development for the mutual benefits of our country and our foreign partners, and financial sector in particular. Western banks, American banks in particular, they are the leaders on the market, and they bring very interesting technological solutions that do not exist in our banks at all.